Very well, welcome to Mike Maidens, Guildford Flames fan who's joined us today, an editor and contributor to Chasing the Puck. How are you doing, Mike? Okay?
Very well, thanks, Kelly. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks, for a Saturday.
Yes.
We're recording this on Saturday morning prior to the weekend's games. Tell us a bit about yourself, Mike, and say thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here. So I describe myself as an avid hockey fan, going back to when I first discovered ice hockey was probably the NHL 94 video game. And the whole concept of the sport, the speed, the skill, physicality, everything, it was basically like taking every good aspect of several different sports and combining it into one. As a kid, it just blew my mind. So eventually started going over to Guildford. My mum used to be able to borrow some tickets, season tickets for the odd games through the 90s. Eventually went and got our own tickets. And then, fast forward to more recent times. As you mentioned, I'm heavily involved with Chasing the Puck. Cover all things Guildford Flames, amongst other things in the league, a bit of NHL. I've also been working for the EIHA more recently.
Nice.
So, just busy in the background with all things hockey, really.
Oh, nice one. What we've seen is obviously AHL hockey returning post-pandemic. As a Clan fan, we've only seen one game, that away fixture in Belfast. Obviously, this is going out before tomorrow's game against the Panthers. How have you found it as a Flames fan post-pandemic? I've asked some of the other guys that have been on their views and what they think has changed, if anything. What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
Do you know what? Returning to hockey has been bittersweet for me. And I say that for a few reasons. Firstly, when we had our last game in Guildford, it was against Sheffield and we won it. I think we won 5-4 from memory. But we're all celebrating. It's a great atmosphere. We knew COVID was there, but we never knew that was going to be our last game. So we never got to say goodbye to what was our first EIHL roster. The core of the team is now gone. We never got to say a thank you to guys like Callie, Jesse Craig. And then you've got the other side, which is, as you walk around games, there's always people that you see. You see them for years. You may never speak to them, but they're always there. They're the faces you recognise. They're the home fans. They're the people who you know them. And a lot of those people haven't returned. Now, whether that is, due to health issues, whether they're not comfortable going back to the rink, or whether they have, and ended up worse off with COVID. It's kind of hard going back and not seeing those faces. And around the league and in Guildford, we have lost people. And it's hard not to think of these people who haven't returned to the rink, who aren't there anymore, who you've seen for all these years. Like I said, even if you don't speak to them. And on a more back to the game in terms of it actually coming back, I mean, it has been amazing having hockey back when we've all really, really missed it. The season started really well for Guildford. I think, like all other teams that have been playing, we've had some brilliant results. We've had some shockers. We're second in the league at the moment, which sounds great, but a lot of teams have got games in hand, so I don't think it's really reflective of where we're at. But I think we've made a good start at least.
Yeah, I mean, what have your crowd levels been like, Mike? You were saying that there's some familiar faces not there. Have you seen a big drop in crowds, or has it been pretty much the same?
No, I don't think we've seen a drop. I mean, we're averaging around 1,400 to 1,600, which is where we'd expect to be around the beginning of the season. It should be rising up, sort of, going into the new year, heading into playoffs, probably around the 1,800 mark. But no, I don't think we've seen a substantial drop off.
That's good.
But yeah, I mean, personally, for me, I genuinely do. You just know people are missing. You can feel that people are missing. It's not the same. It just isn't the same going back. Like I said, it's a completely new roster, and the faces and some of which I've known since going as a kid, they're not there anymore.
Certainly, you were saying there about Flames, they're sitting second in the league. I look back and I've been really impressed with the Flames and how they've came in from the lower level. The Flames have done really well in the BNL and EPL, and they joined the Elite League, I believe, in 17-18 season. And since then, they've done really well. I think that first season they were sixth in the league, and then they followed that up with a fifth in the league in the 18-19 season. Got to a cup final of the Challenge Cup, won your conference as well, and then obviously sitting sixth in the season 19-20 that was pulled. So I've been impressed with the Flames in terms of what they've done coming into the league. But how do you feel this season has actually gone? There's been ups and downs. We're talking before a Saturday night game for the Flames at home to Dundee.
Yeah.
Dundee, I think, absolutely hammered you 7-0. So
Yes,
I
they
think
did.
the revenge may be on cue for tonight. But what do you think? Has there been ups and downs, or how you felt overall the team's done?
The main thing for me is they've been competitive every night, and you can see the effort levels are there. I think one big thing for me is we never tended to do too well in the second period of the game. The compete level was never there like it is in the first and the third. This team have constantly come out and played fully for 3 periods, and that's something which has been a big change. The other thing is, because we've got a completely new team, whilst we've still got the speed and the skill which we've kind of gone with as our go-to focus, you can see that at the back we're not shying away from hits like we used to. We're a little bit more in your face. Going forward, we miss guys like Cruz, Reddick. That top line that we had of Reddick, Dunbar, and Waters, they were our go-to line pre-COVID. If things weren't happening, it was those guys who would fix it for us.
Yeah,
we haven't got that anymore. And with County alongside Waters and Dunbar, there's a lot of good elements coming from that line, but the scoring isn't there like it once was. And obviously they're still getting used to each other. But on the flip side of that, we're getting goals from all 3 lines. So our top scorer is Tristan Fry. He's on our 3rd line. So I guess it's just finding that consistency. And as the guys get used to playing with each other more and more, if they can keep the consistency, if they can keep up that compete level, then they're going to do very well this season.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been impressed with Paul Dixon's teams. I mean, the kind of teams that you think you should beat, but you can't beat, from a Clan point of view. Probably people think it's the Flames, we should win, but it's not as easy. And I say I've rolled off there some of the achievements of the Flames in a very short period of time, reaching that Challenge Cup final. I mean, the Clan have only made 1 playoff weekend in 11 years. Yeah, we've won a few conferences, but I'm expecting in the future better things from the Clan. But I'm always impressed with Paul Dixon in terms of builds teams that are difficult to beat, defensively sound, fast, skillful, and complete pests sometimes with guys like, so when you had Ben Davies and guys like that, you just very hard-working teams. And I say it was a team that we've always found difficult to break down, and even close games, you would come up with a Caliacrid power play goal or whatever, and you would win the game, which is very frustrating as a Clan fan, but it must be good for you guys to grind out results. So what would you say the strengths of your team are this season, Mike?
Do you know what? We're still the same in terms of what the strengths that we're bringing in are going to be. So we've still got like I said, we've still got the speed, we've still got the skill which we've had, albeit from different players. But it's the added physicality which I think has really stood out. So if you look at our blue line previously, Callie and Jesse, as great as they were very offensive, and quite often they would get caught up ice, resulting in turnovers and goals coming our way. We haven't seen that yet with the likes of Jake Bolton and Jamal Watson, for example. And Watson's our top scorer at the moment.
Yeah.
We're not seeing that. And then behind them, you've got Alisari, Locke, Alex Yule. We've got a new guy, Trapp, who's just come in. They're not guys which are getting caught up ice too often. And I think that the forward set that we've got at the moment are coming back and helping out with the defence better than what we've had previously.
Right.
So I mean, it's a mixture of a few things, really. It's the same team metric, but it feels very different. At the moment, I guess the way to describe it, it probably feels like a more complete version of what we were trying to get to originally.
Okay. Tim, you were talking about key players there, and you had quite a good core of players, the returning players, like, so, as you say, Cruz, Reddick, Caliacrid, obviously guys like Waters that's still there, Dunbar. Also good goaltending previously with Travis Fulton, and you had obviously, was it Wouter Peters that used to play, and Travis Fullerton, and you would always put Travis Fullerton in against the Clan, wouldn't you? Because he would always come and have an absolute blinder against the Clan and shut us out. How's your goaltending been this season? Because I don't recognise the names.
Kevin Linsku has been phenomenal. For me, he's without a doubt one of the best in the league in terms of his position. And hopefully on Tuesday, you guys will get to see him in action and just see quite how good he is. He's essentially he's been fined this year for his celebrations. He made a save against Fife last weekend. A last-ditch effort right towards the end of the game. He's got up off the ice and immediately just started his own little celebration. He's immediately.
That was all the kick-off with Coventry, wasn't it?
Yeah. See now, the whole thing with Coventry. If you look back at the video, he's made literally a save at the death with like 2 seconds left to win us the game. He's then immediately jumped up with his arms in the air right in front of the Coventry player. Now, don't get me wrong, it was clearly inflammatory, and let's not beat around the bush. He meant to do it, and he knew what he was doing when he did it. However, in his defence, prior to that, he was doing that anyway. So any game we were winning, he was immediately arms up in the air celebrating, and the guys were skating over to him. So it wasn't like it was anything different.
Yeah.
But he probably shouldn't have done it when he's got all of the Blaze players surrounding him. That was.
See, I like that kind of stuff. I like the character players. You know, we've had a few character players like Zach Fitzgerald and Chris Frank and guys like that. They make the game and you go home talking about that kind of stuff. I know it can be seen to be inflammatory. We need more of that, I think, in the sport.
Exactly. And if you look at Haas, for example, up in Dundee, throws out that monster check last week, gets a 3-game ban, and all the Dundee fans are talking about is how great Cole Haas is. They're not looking at the fact they picked up like 2 or 4 points and they're sitting second from last in the league after like 10 games. They're looking at how great this guy is, and they're trying to use, Dundee rightly looking at him to drive revenue and footfall through the door. But he's the guy you want to see when you play in Dundee, because if their team aren't performing, then what else do you look to? You look for that character.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, I like that kind of sort of stuff. So what Flames players have impressed you this season? We've mentioned a few names here. Jamal Watson's a guy that I've seen when I've seen some of the stuff on TV. I like the look of, and he seems to be knocking in the points. Any other guys stand out? We've talked about the goaltending there as well.
Yeah, so it's do you know what? It's hard to answer that about running through the entire team. I think the Brit core that we've got in, there were question marks over the Brit core when they first came in from a few people. They're not known point scorers. Whereas, losing guys like Ben Davies, Stephen Lee going back up to Nottingham, they're big GB players who we've lost, and bringing in, Robert Lachwicks, obviously he's come in with a very good pedigree. Guys like Matt Howlett, obviously still young. Owen Griffiths, still young, both looking to make a name for themselves, but they've been phenomenal this season in terms of their work rate. Prime example I could give of Jordan Cowney. Third period against Cardiff in our final group game at the Cup down in Ice Arena, Wales. His work rate in that third period was, I don't recall ever seeing anyone put in an effort like he did in that third period. I don't know. He was like a man possessed. Every time we dumped the puck for a line change, he was the first off the bench and he was down straight in players' faces, creating turnovers, making opportunities happen. We were so unlucky not to win that game. We eventually lost in a shootout, but the level of energy that these guys have brought to the team, this Brit pack, have been excellent. Yeah. You've then got the skill which comes with John Dunbar. He's still controlling games whilst he's on the ice. And at the back, we've mentioned Jake Bolton, Jamal Watson, as you said, he's our top point scorer in the league at the moment. Tristan Fry on the third line. He's another really gritty player. He's our top goal scorer. There's only one forward in the entire team that hasn't scored a goal as of yet.
Sorry.
In the league, that is, as well. So 10 games in, only one forward hasn't scored a goal. So, in terms of naming a few players, it's hard. It really is hard because the whole team are performing so well at the moment.
I guess that's what you want. No, I mean, I have been impressed with Mac Howlett. He obviously was at Clan last season and he really impressed me, and he got better and better and better. And I think maybe a move has maybe been good for him, to a wee bit more responsibility. I'm expecting him to kick on, and we've obviously seen Jordan Cowney at Clan, and he moved on to Dundee, and he's again obviously kicked on there as well. So it's good to see the younger British players doing well. Moving on to the Clan, obviously we'll be facing you guys on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Do you know much about the Clan? I appreciate there's new players on the roster. One guy I'm interested to get your opinion on is Jamie Crooks, who's came in. I saw Jamie play at Solway and he sniped a goal. Fair enough, it was lower league and it was pre-season, but he showed what he could do when the puck was bobbling about.
Yeah.
Just to get your opinion on Jamie Crooks, and do you think he could be a key player for the Clan this season?
Yeah, I think he will be. So Jamie Crooks he's an interesting one because I was following him when we first came into the league back in Alberta, and his goal rate was probably the best on the team. When he came over to Guildford, there was a lot of excitement, and it just didn't happen for him. The first half of the it was the 18-19 season he came over, it just didn't happen for him. And he found himself as a healthy scratch on the odd occasion, and he eventually worked his way back into the team, and he's a confidence player. Once he gets into his stride, he is dangerous. And just to give you an example, if we look at just before COVID, I mentioned earlier that we beat Sheffield 5-4, I think it was, to win our final game. He got a hat-trick in that game.
Right.
He scored 24 goals in the 1920 season, 18 of which came between the 1st of January and the 1st of March. He scored 5 goals against Cardiff in one game. The Challenge Cup final the year before, it was him who scored the equalising goal.
Right.
He has got a phenomenal shot. All he needs is the feed and the confidence. And once he's got those two things, he's like no other.
Yeah,
he's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it sounds like probably a confident player. Once he gets in his stride, he could do well, and we're hoping to see big things from him. Any other players in the Clan team that you're sort of aware of?
Obviously aware of Cody Sol, who's come in. He looks like a handful, let's say. I think it will be interesting to see how he's managed. And to be fair, there's a few players that you've got in. I know the captain's obviously a little bit familiar with various penalty boxes as well.
Yeah.
Just looking at the way the season's gone so far, if you look at teams like Coventry, they've played on the line, or over the line sometimes, in terms of their on-ice conduct. It's lent to DOPS bans, and all that means is they've had to travel short bench, and they're losing games because of it. I think that with guys like Cody Sol on the team, it's how they can be controlled to be effective but not overstep the line, because all that's going to do is hurt the team. So, it's team management's going to be key for the Clan. So overall, it looks like the Clan have got a really strong roster. Really like your netminder as well. Big guy, vast AHL experience. Again, if he comes in looking as good as what his stats do on paper, then I think like Kevin Lindskog, he's going to be, let's go back to Patrick Colleen. He's a guy who would win you games. Yeah. He's that solid, reliable guy. You don't need to worry about anything else as long as you got him there. He's good. He's your game changer.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously guys like Matthew Waugh who can chip in,
of course,
as well. We've got quite a few Scottish contingent this season who look good. I think we've got a good mix, but as you say, it's that control. We can't afford to be getting suspensions. We need to really avoid injuries. Even guys like Lyndon Springer, who came into the Clan last season, when he actually was very disciplined for majority of the time and actually played really well, and was actually probably one of our better players. I think it's a mentality thing. If these guys can probably just know when and when not to get involved, then they can be real assets to the teams.
Yeah, I agree. I genuinely think that once Clan are together for a period of time and they get up to speed like everyone else has had the opportunity to do, I genuinely think that Clan can realistically be a top 4 team if they can control themselves and make sure that they keep it clean. And obviously it all comes down to being injury-free as well. But I genuinely think there's a good roster there.
I mean, obviously we run a bit behind, Mike. We obviously had off-ice issues with the arena,
of course,
which caused us a bit of a delay. What's your views on that, in terms of what's happened? I take it you're pleased that the Clan are there?
Oh, massively. Obviously, before COVID hit, I was aware of the problems with the threat of administration, etc. And it was kind of unfathomable that we would ever really lose the Clan. But then during the first lockdown, it was announced that the Hive in Bracknell was going to be locked up for good. Okay. At that time, I was doing the media for the Bracknell Hornets, the NIHL 1 team, which Chasing the Puck was sponsoring as well at the time. During this whole thing, we as a club were not being fed any information on what was happening with the rink. It was all very cloak and dagger. And then all of a sudden, it's like, boom, it's over. That's it. You've got multiple adult teams. You've got over 120 kids in the hockey program, all left without a rink. And then, of course, you've got your figure skaters and everyone else on top of that. And quite frankly, it was crushing. And we didn't see it coming. It was... The Hive was old, but it was once home to the best team in the UK back in the ISL days and the Bracknell Bees. And it needed some TLC. It was actually getting work done on it, you know, minor bits and bobs here and there, but it was an iconic ice rink. And I just didn't see that going the way that it did. So, of course, once that's happened, and then you're looking at what's happening in Glasgow, it's hard not to think, could this actually happen? Like, you know, really, are we going to lose the Clan? So I've no doubt you'll agree with me. It's an amazing hockey rink up there. It's one of the best in the UK. It's got such a brilliant, passionate fan base. And, you know, the on-ice product has always been good. And to your point, you know, only making one playoff weekend in the last 11 years is, obviously, it's an underperformance. But there's the foundations there for the Clan to go on and do something really good.
Yeah.
The main thing is, obviously, now... Clan are safe for the foreseeable future, back in the league, back up and running. And for me, it's a huge relief. I love the place, and I'm really glad that you guys are back. And I'm really looking forward to playing you for the first time on Tuesday.
That's great. I mean, I appreciate the comments. I found that right across the league from the various fans I've spoken to are all glad the Clan are there and playing, because I think it also would impact on the Scottish teams if there was no Clan or no Fife or no Dundee. Impacts really in all the Scottish sides. So it's definitely good that we're on our way back, and hopefully in the coming years we can build something special in Glasgow. Finally, really looking at the league this season, Challenge Cup, obviously you've been aware of. Is there any teams that have jumped out at you in terms of for silverware you think could do well this season, or do you think it's too early to say that?
Honestly, I think it's too early, because I mean the key to any the key to the league especially is going to be consistency.
Yeah,
there's no teams which have shown any consistency. I think probably the least consistent team from expectation would be Cardiff. I think they've beaten us all 4 times that we've played them, 2 of which have gone to overtime or penalties, but they've not stormed a game against us. We've not been blown out of the water. It's been it's been close. It's been a little bit of puck luck. It's just not really happened for us for whatever reason. They've got some clear quality. All the big 4 teams have got the quality there. But there's no one who's shown that consistency yet. So for me, you'd expect the silverware to be going to one of the big 4 teams. It has done since, 2012 when Coventry won the playoffs last or something. Yeah. But yeah, hard to say.
Hard to say. And finally, thoughts on Tuesday's game? How do you see that panning out, or a tough one to call?
Again, it's going to be a tough one, because obviously Clan are a complete unknown quantity. I think if you look at logistically the travel time, you would always expect the home team in a Flames versus any Scottish team. You'd expect a home team win, and that works both ways, because you're looking at 8-9 hours on a coach.
Yeah.
Whether that's going to pan out, I don't know. This season we've seen it. We beat Dundee 3-0 in the Spectrum. They then went and blasted us out of the water 7-0 up there, which obviously results like that are pretty rare. And to be fair, we did only have 4 defence playing that night, but no excuse. They did a number on us. With that said, the expectation being the home team should win due to the coach travel. We play Dundee tonight and they'll probably win. So regardless, I'm expecting a very good game. And obviously with Cowney and Matt going up against the Clan, with Crooksy coming back to Guildford, you've got players there who are going to want to go that extra mile. They're going to want they're going to want the limelight. They want that goal. So I think we're in for a good one on Tuesday.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think it'll be a good competitive game. May the best team win on the night. Just a shout out to your chasing the puck. Tell us a bit more about that and how we can get involved in the news in that.
So chasing the puck's been going around since 2016. I joined it 2018, I believe, is when I joined as a writer, and I've worked my way through the ranks with them. We're a group of hockey fans. So we've got various different people involved, various different teams across the league. Now, everyone kind of covers off their own team. I've personally covered off Guildford. I'm a Tampa Bay fan, so I've covered off some NHL. I also cover off the NIHL stuff, which has led to me going and doing some stuff for the EIHA. We've sponsored the Bracknell Hornets. We've also sponsored players before. So what we're trying to do with Chasing the Puck is create a different kind of outlet so people can catch up on news, etc. But it also is a blogging site. So it's news and opinions, just to try and interact with people more and get people talking more, especially from a Guildford standpoint. We don't do much as a club in terms of the social media output. There isn't that much fan interaction, and somewhere like Chasing the Puck, that's what we aim to do.
Okay, perfect. Well, I really appreciate your time, Mike, and I say look forward to the game on Tuesday, and hopefully catch up with you again later in the season. But as I say, thank you very much for giving us your time.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.
Take care, mate. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.